Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from not the Commander's Quarters studio. If you haven't seen some of my recent episodes, yeah, some life circumstances are happening, and I'm recording on the road currently with my Rode mic, so hopefully the audio quality is okay. Regardless, let's jump into it. On today's episode, I've got a very exciting $1 Commander deck for you. That's right, just $1 for the entire deck. Okay, not including basic lands, or shipping, but still, okay, every single card. Come on, give me a break. This is so budget friendly. It is crazy. Alayla, Artful Provocateur, is a fantastic commander. And yeah, with some recent reprint, I mean, recent-ish, it is a very budget-friendly commander, being only 30 cents itself, and you can do some crazy things with this one. A 2/3 Fairy Warlock with Flying, Death Touch, and Lifelink that costs 1 white, blue, black. Other creatures you control with Flying get +1/+0, so a nice Anthem there. And on top of that, whenever you cast an artifact or enchantment spell, create a 1/1 blue Fairy creature token with Flying. So this commander gives us everything. This commander says, you know what? I'm giving you access to some great colors. I am like great blocker, great attacker myself, but more importantly, I will help you make an army so easily, so effectively, and I'm going to pump them too. So, you know what? All you need to do is focus on just casting some spells, and when you do so, I will do the rest for you. So yeah, you're going to have your Flying Fairy army again, basically 2/1 flyers swinging at your opponents in absolutely no time. Again, even on the lowest of budgets, this commander can be incredibly effective. If you are interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. Again, every single card in this deck, when I built this deck, is just 1 cent, except for, well, the commander. There you go, 30 cents for the commander. Every other card, 1 cent. Total cost, again, according to Moxfield, $1. So yeah, make sure you check out that link. And with all that said, let's jump into the tactics. So first up, we've got Fix It. In our Tactic 1, we've got Campus Guide to start things off, a 2/1 Golem for 2. ETBs, search your life for basic land, reveal, put it on top. Basically, essentially, hey, you know what? You need to set your mana. You need to make sure you get that swamp, get that island, get that plains, whatever you need. Go get it. If you need it, cool, do it. If not, it's just a 2/1 that is solid on the ground, and one that, again, when you're playing it, you get that flyer, because again, this is an artifact. Speaking of which, Salvage Mana Worker, again, exact same thing. Low to the ground, artifact creature, a 1/3, a good blocker for you early on in the game. On top of that, it's got pay 1, add 1 mana of any color, active only once each turn, so some fantastic mana fixing for you that can really help you get things going and get your commander out. Speaking of which, Burdened Aerialist, a 3/1 Human Pirate. ETBs, you make a treasure token. That is huge, being able to, well, ramp temporarily and also help you fix your mana. On top of that, whenever you sacrifice a token, it's going to gain flying until end of turn. So it's going to be a 4/1 flyer in the air attacking someone else. Then we've got Crossroads Candle Guide, another creature that, again, is an artifact. So there you go. You got a way to make another fairy. And on top of that, it's going to help you fix your mana. Pay 2, add 1 mana of any color. So yeah, if you're desperate to actually fix your mana to get your commander out or whatnot, do so with this. On top of that, when ETBs, exile up to 1 target card from your graveyard. So some great graveyard hate there. Next up, World Weary. A fantastic aura, basic land cycling. So early on the game, if we need that swamp, go get it. Replace this with that swamp. Or, hey, you want some removal, you want some way to shrink a creature. Enchant creature gets -4/-4. And again, keep in mind, so many enchantments, so many artifacts in this deck, so we can keep getting advantages off of our commander's trigger. Finally, we've got Mental Journey, basic land cycling as well. So yeah, go get that swamp, go get that island, go get that plains, whatever you need, you can do that. Or later on in the game, if you need to draw some cards, do that. Instant speed, 6 mana, draw 3 cards. Let's move on to tactic number 2, Art Form. And yeah, we've got plenty of more great, fantastic artifacts to help us out with this deck, and a lot that can give us some good card advantage and card selection as well. Basilica Skull Bomb, simple 1 mana artifact. Again, this is basically just for 1 mana. Hey, make a 2/1 flyer as well, thanks to our commander. Pay 1, sacrifice it, draw a card, so we can replace this if we need to. Or we can pay 2 and a white, sacrifice it. Target creature gets +2/+2 and gains the flying until end of turn. Again, flying being huge with this commander because it allows it that Anthem to affect that creature as well. Draw a card, active as a sorcery. So yeah, if we've got some extra mana lying around, we can do that for a nice pump effect. Moving on, Eager Construct. ETBs, each player may scry 1. Some great card selection for everyone. We're not just gonna, keep all ourselves. We'll share some around as well. You know what? We're very, very nice until we have our Flurry army. Then we start, flying and attacking everyone with them. Moving on, Elsewhere Flask. 2 mana, ETBs, draw a card. So this replaces itself. On top of that, sacrifice it, choose a basic land type. Each land you control becomes a type until end of turn. Another great way to fix our mana, ensure that we can get our commander out when we need to. Moving on, Metal Spinner's Puzzle Knot. Let's draw some more cards. ETBs, draw a card, lose 1 life. That's a low, price to pay, essentially. Again, you start with 40 life, that's fine. Pay 2 in a black, sacrifice it, do the same. Again, well worth it. When it comes to drawing cards, we can also do that with Mnemonic Sphere, though. Another low to the ground artifact for just 2 mana. Pay 1 in a blue, sacrifice it, draw 2 cards. That's huge. Or we can pay a single blue mana and discard it to draw a card, so kind of like a cycling approach there as well. Rune Servitor, when this one dies, each player draws a card, so some more card advantage there, this time for everyone. That being said, again, low to the ground artifact, very effective at helping us make even more fairies. Also got Blood Servitor, a 2/2. ETBs make a blood token. That can obviously help with card selection. Sacrifice it by paying 1, tapping, discarding a card, sacrificing it, you draw a card. So yeah, you discard a card. To draw a card, you're going to be rummaging. That can be very helpful to get rid of a dead card in your hand and get something better. Speaking of which, Jalem Tome, on the other end of things, pay 2, tap, draw a card, discard a card. So a great looting effect for us, a great repeatable looting effect for us. And again, hey, an artifact that is low to the ground, that we can get out, that we can make more fairies. What's not to love? Of course, then we got Moonfolk Puzzle Maker, a 1/4 flyer that is an artifact, so keep that in mind. On top of that comes tapped Scry 1. So if we're swinging with this, great. Again, it's going to be swinging as a 2/4 flyer. And we also get to Scry every single time. When it comes to Scry, we can Scry even more, though, with Mirror Custodian. 2/3 mirror. ETBs, Scry 2, each opponent may Scry 1. Sure, our opponents get some card selection out of this. We get even more, though, so yeah, keep that in mind. And then finally, Fairy Mechanist. This one is a 2/2 flyer. Again, that's going to be swinging with 3 power thanks to our commander. ETBs, look at the top 3 cards of your library. Build an artifact card from among them, put in your hand. The rest of them your library in any order. Yeah, we've got a ton of artifacts in this deck that this can help us go grab. But let's move on to tactic number 3, Enchanted, because yeah, we've got tons of great enchantments to help us out as well, and some great low to the ground ones like Bubble Snare, a single blue mana. We can kick it if we need to. Enchant Creature, ETBs, it was kicked, you tap the Enchant Creature. Enchant Creature doesn't untap against controllers untap step. So this can be a very simple 1 mana way in many ways to just shut down our opponent's best creature and say, you know what? Oh, we also get a 2/1 fairy. Thank you very much. And again, if you need to kick it, tap that creature, you can. Moving on, Shattered Ego. Yet another 1 mana enchantment. Chain creature gets -3/-0, so that's a nice way to slow down an opponent's creature. Or, hey, really slow it down by paying 3 blue. Chain creature goes into its owner's library, 3rd from the top, so temporarily get rid of it. And yeah, kind of just make them have a dead draw at some point if they don't want that creature anymore. Moving on, Weak Stone Subjugation. Enchanted artifact or creature, ETBs, you can pay 3 if you do tap enchanted permanent. Enchanted permanent doesn't tap to controllers, untap step. So again, just another way to say, let's shut something down, either an artifact or a creature. And also again, low to the ground, let's make that fairy. Moving on, Hold for Ransom, yet another great aura for us. Enchant creature, enchanted creature can attack or block and has pay 7. Hold for Ransom's controller sacrifices it and draws a card. Activate only as a sorcery. So hey, you know what? If they need to, sure, they can pay a lot of mana. That's a ton, 7 mana. And you know, we also get to draw a card. Lovely. Moving on, Pacifism, a great card in this deck as well. Very simple, very effective. Chain creature can attack or block for just 2 mana. Get that flyer. Lovely. Then we've got Cage of Hands. Again, exact same thing essentially, but we can also pay 1 in a white if we need to bounce it back to our hand so we can recast it, make another fairy, shut down another creature. Then we've got Charm Sleep. This one costs just 3 mana. ETBs, we get to tap down that enchanted creature. That creature is getting tapped down no matter what. So even if our opponent was keeping their creature back, does not matter. Tap it down, does untap during its tours, untap step. Exact same thing with Claustrophobia. Again, having repeatable effects like this, having more effects like this can be fantastic for this kind of deck to shut down creatures and make our fairies to help them get through. So we're also going to be running Fall from Favor. ETBs, tap enchanted creature, and you become the monarch. Now we establish the monarch in the game, which is huge. Again, we've got a lot of evasive creatures with our fairies, so yeah, we can swing through to take that back if someone takes it from us. Enchanted creature doesn't untap to untap step unless that player is the monarch. So it's a great way to start forcing some combat. Moving on, So Shiny, a really cool card. Enchanted creature for 3 mana. ETBs, if you control a token, tap enchant creature, then scry 2. Yeah, we're gonna control a token because we've got plenty of ways to make tokens, including just playing this. Enchant creature does untap during controllers, untap step. So another way to shut that down. Capture Sphere. Again, we've got a lot of repeatable effects. This one with Flash, we can flash it in, tap down a creature, it doesn't untap. Sleep Paralysis. Again, tap down a creature. You see a pattern here. We're going to be shutting down creatures quite a lot. We can also do that with Tamio's Completion. Enchant artifact, creature, planeswalker. This can flash in, enters the battlefield, tap enchanted permanent. If it's an equipment, untach it. Enchanted permanent loses all abilities and doesn't tap to top step. That can be even more brutal and more effective. Speaking of brutal and effective, finally we've got Confiscate. Hey, enchant a permanent. we have that permanent. So again, this is a 1 cent card, and we're like, yeah, what's that over there? A giant creature? Thank you. Or whatever you want. Again, any permanent, steal it from your opponent, and make a fairy in the meantime. Let's move on to tactic number 4, down and out, because yeah, we're not done with our auras just yet that are going to be punishing for our opponents. A single mana enchant creature is -2/-2. That again can just slow down one of their biggest creatures, or yeah, just even take out one of their smaller ones. And on top of that, again, we're making a 2/1 fairy when we do this, again, for just 1 mana. Slightly bigger at Mire's Grasp. Enchant creature, -3/-3 for 2 mana. Again, coming with that 2/1 fairy for us. Then there's Citizen's Arrest. We've got a 3 mana ETBs, exile target creature, planeswalker, and foe controls until it leaves the battlefield. This is a great way to say, let's just temporarily, or if they can't get rid of this, permanently get rid of something. And on top of that, again, make our fairy creature token. Next up, let's move on to tactic number 5, because we're not done with messing our opponents just yet, so we're going to talk about breaking it. So yeah, Blood Tallow Candle, a great card for this deck, a low to the ground artifact for just a single mana. So again, 1 mana, make your 2/1 flyer, pay 6, tap, sacrifice it, target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. This can be a great deterrent that we have in play and say, hey, I've got this in play. You're going to really attack me with that creature, because if you do, I'm taking it out. Moving on, speaking of which, Dispeller's Capsule, another card that just sits on the battlefield and can even force opponents to not play certain things that they're worried we're going to take out. Artifact for just 1 mana, pay 2 and a white, tap, sacrifice a short target artifact or enchantment. A great threatening effect to just have in play. And again, 1 mana, make a 2/1 fairy. Scalding Cauldron, again, yet another 1 mana card, essentially. A great way to make some fairies. Artifact for 1, pay 3, tap, sacrifice, 3 damage target creature. A great way to say, you know what, again, if you're going to attack, I can block here, I can do this, I can take out your creatures. Just a lightning bolt on a stick. That's pretty fantastic. Next up, Spark Harvest, sorcery speed, 1 mana, again, make that fairy. Yeah, you might have to pay a little more if you don't sacrifice a creature, but if you do, this just costs 1, and hey, destroy a creature or a planeswalker, that is huge. Springjaw Trap, a great card as well. Flash it in for 1, pay 4, tap, sacrifice, 3 damage to any target, not just a creature. Or, you know, we can pay you a little more mana with Universal Solvent to get rid of basically anything. Artifact for a single mana, pay 7, tap, sacrifice, destroy target permanent. Again, a great threatening effect to have on the battlefield to say, do you really want to do that? If you do this, I will take that out. Next up, Blade Brand, instant speed. Target creature gains death touch and on turn, draw a card. Again, we've got flying fairies. They can block pretty much anything. And yeah, just a single one of our fairies can take out now basically anything, and it gets replaced by drawing a card. Tyrant's Machine, yet another artifact that can help us out. Cost 2, pay 4, tap, tap target creature, tap it down, take it out of combat. And again, when we're displaying this, it's a 2/1 flyer as well, essentially, right? It comes with that 2/1 flyer. That is huge. Speaking of huge, against specific decks, Tormod's Crypt Keeper can be just absolutely detrimental. 3/2 Vigilant Golem for 3 mana, tap, sacrifice, exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Yeah, this can decimate a Reanimator deck. This can decimate a Self-Mill deck. This can do a lot of work for you just for being in play, on top of making that fairy. But now it's time for us to move on to tactic number 6, Value Town. We're going to start things off with Clay Revenant, a really good card for this deck. A repeatable source of fairy power. 1/2 Golem for 1. ETB's type, that's okay. Pay 2 and a black, return from your graveyard to your hand. So basically, a 4 mana repeatable creature that we can keep getting back into play again and again and again to make more and more fairies. Moving on, Strategic Planning, just a good low to the ground spell. Look at the top of your card your library. 1 goes in your hand, rests in your graveyard. A good way to get a card off the top. Veil of Assimilation, artifact that can help us out a lot as well. 2 mana, whenever it or another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, target creature you control gets +1/+1 and gains Vigilance on a turn. Again, we're going to be aggressive. We're going to be swinging. We're going to be getting a lot of artifacts in play. We can pump creatures quite a lot with this. Then we got Field Research, another flexible card. Kicker, we're going to kick it. Great. Draw 2 cards. If the spell is kicked, you draw 3 instead. So if you got extra mana lying around, do so and get even more cards. Moving on, Rousing Reed. This one's an aura, so again, it's coming with a fairy for us. Enchant creature, enters the battlefield, draw 2, discard 1. Enchant creature gets +1/+1, has flying. So again, if we've got a creature that doesn't have flying, perfect. We've got a way to say, now you do. Get that pump from our commander as well. Then there's Extruder, a really cool card for this deck. 4/3 Juggernaut for 4th Echo 4. Sacrifice an artifact, you get a counter on target creature. So this can be a great way to surprisingly pump a creature out of nowhere in combat with this in play. And then finally, Random Revelation, just a solid draw spell. Instant speed, 4 mana, draw 3, discard 1. A fantastic spell in many circumstances, and one that we can just hold up when we need it. But as good as all these cards are, there's one in my opinion that stands above the rest, and that's the golden pick of this deck, which is Tide Skimmer, a 2/3 Drake with flying that costs 3 and a blue, and it says, whenever you attack with 2 or more creatures with flying, draw a card. This, again, is going to be swinging for 3 damage, which is very nice, and on top of that, yeah, we're going to have a lot of flyers with all those fairies that we're going to be creating. So there you go. You're going to be drawing a lot of cards throughout the game with this. Just a great repeatable draw effect for us. And again, at this budget, that is a fantastic effect for us to really take advantage of and to keep things going. So yeah, a great consideration for this deck, and one that I believe is considered the golden pig. Well, let's move on to tactic number 8, Bring Friends, because we've got some cards that can help us bring friends on top of the fairies that they're going to be making. Cogworks, Puzzle Knot, cost 2, it's an artifact. ETBs, make a 1/1 servo. Also, pay 1 and a white, sacrifice it, make a servo. So in total, again, we're using this, we're getting it into play. We make a fairy, we'll sacrifice it, get another servo. 3 creatures in 1, what's not to love? Speaking of which, Searchlight Companion, a 1/1 flyer again, that's going to be swinging for 2, cost 3 mana. ETBs, make a 1/1 spirit. Unfortunately, it's not flying, but that's okay. And again, we're going to get that fairy creature token next to this as well. Again, 3 for the price of 1. Fantastic in this deck. Moving on, though, let's talk about tactic number 9, Hit 'em Hard, because again, we're going to be going wide very quickly with all those low to the ground artifacts and enchantments that we have that we're going to be casting. Let's hit our opponents for even more. Again, those fairies are hitting for 2. Let's double that up to 4 with something like Fortify. Instant for 3 mana. Choose 1. Creatures you control at +2/+0 until end of turn, or +0/+2. Most likely, we're going to use this thing in an offensive way, though. Hey, swing out, +2/+0. All of a sudden, our fairies now are hitting twice as hard. Take those opponents out. Then there's Inspired Charge. Again, instant speed, 4 mana. Creatures you control at +2/+1 until end of turn. So another great, out of nowhere, just combat trick that can be very, very deadly for us. Played it also up, potentially even better, affinity for artifacts. So yeah, we can reduce that cost all the way down to just white, 2 mana in total. Creature control at +2/+1 until end of turn. A great way to say your opponents probably don't think you just have a 2 mana spell that can pump your army to take them out, but now you do. Then we've got Warhorn Blast, a great foretell card for this deck, +2/+1 again. This one can cost 5 mana speed, or if we foretell it, just 3 mana, which can be absolutely massive in taking out our opponents. But let's move on to the final tactic, tactic number 10, stick around, because yeah, we've got ways to help protect our things as well, especially that amazing commander. Armed Guard Familiar is a great one to do so. 2/1, Equipment Beast, Ward 2, equipped creature gets +2/+1 and has Ward 2, and of course we can reconfigure this, basically an equipment for our commander to help protect it. That also, again, is an artifact, so there you go, make a fairy with it too. Moving on, Cradle of Safety, an aura with flash, so 2 mana, make a fairy, lovely. Enchant creature control, whenever enchant creature, this enters the battlefield, enchant creature gains Hexproof until end of turn, enchant creature gets ++1, so a nice little pump effect as well, but yeah, a great surprising way to, well, save potentially our commander, or something else that's important, and also make a creature token with it. Finally, there's Unlikely Aid, a great instant speed card. Target creature gets +0 and gains indestructible until end of turn, so a nice little pump effect, and also a way to protect something like our commander from a board wipe. So as you can see, even at the lowest of budgets, again, even just for $1, you can make a very effective deck that, well, can get pretty out of control with all those fairies that you're going to be making, all those effects you're going to have on the field. Alayla is a fantastic commander for a low to ground budget deck because, again, you've got that flexibility of, going artifacts or going enchantments or going both. And yeah, we can definitely go both in a big way with this commander. Fill the board those fairies, pump them, swing out, take your opponents out in absolutely no time. If you're interested in this deck, make sure you check out that deck list link in the description below. And of course, as always, thanks again and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.